So we get to welcome someone who is very incredible, and I'm so glad to have him here. He's just like, yeah, I know. So honored to have my good friend Bart Campolo with us here today, coming all the way from Los Angeles. And of course, you know, we're much more friendly, warm, well not warm, it's kind of cold, but you know, I didn't know that Bart gave up his birthday weekend to be here in Kansas City. So real quick, can you say happy birthday, Bart? So thanks for giving up your weekend with us and another year. Just a little bit about Bart. I had the opportunity to meet him when I was at the Sunday Assembly Conference about a year ago, and it was really wonderful because we resonated on this common desire for community, and he has been working really hard to build community among the students at the University of Southern California. He serves as the humanist chaplain there. And also in addition to the 3 decades of work serving in Christian ministry, as one of the people that I saw who actually was really meeting needs of some of the most at-risk youth, also in a lot of urban areas. Just an amazing, wonderful, true selfless individual. Please give a warm welcome to Bart Campolo.
Is that good? Yeah. Hey, good morning. I'm so glad to be here. And you know, it is my birthday weekend. Yesterday was my birthday. But it's like your birthday, right? Like it's the 2-year anniversary. And I was especially sort of honored and pleased and kind of excited to get to come because, you know, on an average Sunday here, I know you have to talk about like making beer or some sciencey thing. But like once in a while, like on a birthday, you get to just stop and talk about, instead of talking about something else, you get to talk about like this. And so this morning I was just kind of excited that I get a chance to talk about this because, you know, like a lot of people around the country, I'm thrilled with this. I'm thrilled to see this happen. And I'm interested to see it grow. And I think in some ways, you wonder how things like this grow, don't you? Like, how do you make this happen for other people? There's something good happening for people like you, and you're like, how do we make that good thing happen for other people? And I gotta tell you, I was an evangelical Christian for more than 30 years. And when I was an evangelical Christian, I mean, I liked so much of being that. Like, that identity fit me really well. And you see the way I move like an evangelical. But I gotta tell you that in all those years, I never wanted to proselytize anybody. Which is funny, because like, I was an evangelist, but I hated that one-on-one proselytization stuff, you know? I never wanted to witness to anybody. And the thing is, I felt guilty about not doing it. Because, you know, like I was supposed to be saving all these people. But the truth is, I couldn't stand the idea of being some kind of obnoxious zealot. You know, like trying to tell people what they needed to believe. You know, I hated that. The funny thing is, now that I'm a secular humanist, I kind of feel the same way. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but like, it ought to be easier for us now, because like, it's not about beliefs, right? It's about values. You know, like, right? I read that shirt. And the truth of the matter is that like, I've got the same values that I had before, only with a much better set of reasons behind them. Like, I've got a better narrative to sell. But I still don't want to sell, if that makes any sense to you. You know, it's still hard to talk about it sometimes. It's funny, I was talking with my friend Ryan, and we were talking about like, it's hard sometimes to talk about your humanism with your family, especially if your family's still part of the Christian movement. My dad's just a big-time Christian evangelist. And when I first became a secular humanist, it was sort of hard to talk to him about it, or hard to talk to other people about it, because sometimes it makes them sad. Like, he's sad that I'm not in the tribe anymore, you know? Or sometimes it makes them angry. A lot of times it makes them scared and confused, and I don't like to scare people. I don't like to upset them or undermine them. So, I don't know, how do you talk about it? You know, and I don't want to be a different kind of fundamentalist, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be an atheist fundamentalist. Have you met them? Yeah, some of you are them, I know. Like, There's no God, and you better believe that. And they can be just as obnoxious, And I think any kind of person that's trying to force their stuff on you can make you nervous. A few years ago, I used to live in Philadelphia. That's where I grew up. And a few years ago, I was in Philadelphia, and I was riding the subway. For those of you in the Midwest, that's a train that goes under, right? It's not a place to buy a sandwich. So I go downstairs. I'm riding the Broad Street line. If you've ever been to Philadelphia, there's Broad Street line, and I get on the train, and it's crowded. I'm coming home from the end of the day, and it's crowded. There are a lot of people there. But I find my seat. I sit down, and I pull out my book. I'm going to read my book on the train, and that's okay. Because you say, oh, that's not very interactive. I thought you were a warm and friendly person. But everybody else is just doing their own thing too. Everybody's hooked up on their things, and they're reading their stuff. Train pulls out of station, gets up to the next station, and the doors open, and this woman gets on the train, dressed all in white. She's wearing white shoes, white everything, but she's not a nurse, and you know this because she's wearing a huge sandwich sign. She has white gloves and everything. She has a huge sandwich sign on the front of her that says, "Repent or burn." So you kind of know what's in store, right? Like she gets on the train, and unlike everybody else, she doesn't sit down. She just grabs the pole in the middle of the train, and she just stands there looking at us all. And everybody got really nervous, And the doors close, the train pulls out of the station, and we're going about 2 seconds down the track, and all of a sudden at the top of her lungs, she screams out, "This train is going to hell!" And I'm thinking, gee, South Philly's bad, but I had no idea. She goes, "This train is going to hell, and you're all going to hell." She says, "Because you're evil. Because you're evil and you're sinful, and you're going to burn if you don't repent and give your life to Jesus." And she went on like that. "This train is going out." And everybody's just like nervous and everything, right? And then she paused for a moment and she started looking around the train, as evangelists do. Have you ever seen them do that? For a victim, And everybody else in the train, they must have been all veterans, because everybody knew to avert their eyes and everything. But me, I'm stupid, I'm looking, she fixes on me. And by the way, I may not tell you something, I'm the only white guy on the train, right? So she picks me out, she looks at me and she goes, "You!" She said, "Are you a Christian? Do you know Jesus is your personal Lord and Savior?" She looks right at me. And I said what all of you would have said. "Yes, ma'am, I am." Washed in the same blood of Jesus as you are. I know where I go. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that. I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She looked at me and said, "No, you're not. No, you're not, because if you were a true Christian, you wouldn't be reading that secular book. You'd be reading the Bible, or you'd be sharing your faith with the people on this train. But you're not, and you're evil, and you're going to hell." She went on like that. She went on like that for about 5 minutes, and then the train pulled up to the next stop. Doors opened, and as quickly as she got on, she got off. And when she got off the train, and the doors closed behind her, the entire car exhaled at the same moment. We're like, woo! And then what was funny was, we had all been like separate in our own world, but all of a sudden we were all best friends. Like, we've been bonded by this experience, right? And so everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, did you see the Campolo?" And everybody's like, "Hey, white boy, she really got you." And we all started talking, and what was funny was, as we started talking to each other, everybody had a story of somebody like that in their life, And what's funny was, it wasn't always Christian. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I got a cousin, she sells Amway. Oh my God." Somebody's like, "I have a friend, he's a vegetarian, stay back," And everybody had a story of somebody who was trying to jam them up, right? And what was funny was, some of the people on the car were Christians. And one of the guys said, "And I'm a Christian." He said, but I'm not that kind of Christian. That's just really embarrassing to me. And one of the other guys in the car said, "Really, you're a Christian?" He said, "So like you talk to God?" He's like, "What's that like?" And the guy said, "Well, it's not so much like I hear a voice." And he starts explaining prayer to this guy. And everybody's listening. Everybody's swapping stories. And I'm sitting there watching all these people who were total strangers talking to each other. And sitting there, I felt sorry for the lady with the sign. Because here she was, like, trying her level best, desperate to save humanity. But she didn't know a thing about people. See, a lot of people who want to save humanity don't know anything about people. And what she didn't understand was This like basic truth. And if you get nothing else out of this talk today, here's the basic truth. Here's the punchline. Nobody wants to be hit over the head with your worldview. I don't care how rational your worldview is. I don't care how solid your values are. Nobody wants to be hit over the head with your worldview. But people are really interested in how you live. I mean, that's the funny thing, like, people actually are interested in how you live. And what's funny is, the better they get to know you, the more interested they become. So you see on that train, like, we didn't know each other very well, but like, as we're just talking, somebody's like, really, you believe that? How does that work for you? I'm interested. You know, like, and the people that were interested, they weren't interested in this guy's philosophy. They were just like, wow, how does that work? People are interested in how you know what's so funny is, people are not only interested in how you live, they're interested in how you're trying to live. Like, you don't even actually be living it out. You're like, I'm trying to learn yoga. So he goes, really? Why do you want to learn yoga? How does that work for you? Like, is it difficult? Like, you know, what got you interested in it? Like, like, what's interesting, you don't have to be a yoga master. People are just interested if you try. See, that's what I want to tell people who are excited about something like this. You're like, you found, I mean, most of you come in here, you didn't find a new way of thinking. You already thought this way, right? Like this, like you know, like, oh, I wandered into Oasis, and before I did, I was totally excited about supernaturalism, and I called demons upon myself every day, but then I walked in here, and I got saved from supernaturalism. No, like, you walked in here, you already thought what you thought, right? What you discover here is not a new way of thinking, you discover kind of a new way of being. A new way of being together. A new way of spending time. A new way of building relationships. If you want to spread the good news about that, I mean, that is good news, by the way. It is good news for an isolated person who's feeling like they're the only one who's thinking this way. To wander into a room full of people like this and feel like, wow, I'm not alone. That's good news. That's a good thing for somebody. And if you want to spread that to people, I guess the thing I'm going to tell you is you're not going to have to buy more billboards. Even the t-shirts, they're nice, but they're not going to get it. You're going to have to build some relationships. Because the only way you're going to tell people about this way of life that you're working on is if you know them. That's the only way they'll be interested in you. And I got to be honest with you, it doesn't take that long to build the kind of relationships I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like you have to make all new best friends. I mean, it can happen on a bus. It can happen in a restaurant. Like, it can happen on an airplane. You know, you're sitting next to me, how you doing, what's going on? Like, I find out stuff about people every day. You know, you just like, the taxi driver, you know, the Uber driver that picks you up. You're like, hey, how'd you get into doing this? He said, he said, like, we moved here from El Salvador, and, you know, I really like cars. And so I fixed up this car, and, you know, he's like, and so why'd you move here? He's like, well, my mother was sick, and we came up here for treatment. I'm like, all of a sudden we have a relationship, 5 minutes in. And he goes, like, so where are you heading? I'm going to Kansas City. So what are you going to there? I'm going to talk to this crazy group of people that are sort of doing like church without the God stuff. And he goes, like, really? How does that work? And we had to, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, you actually have to talk to people like friends. But the thing is, even once you make friends with people, I think the thing I want to break down to is, even if you become best friends with somebody, they still don't want to hear all about your philosophy. They just want to know what makes you tick. They just want to talk about your life. Why do you do what you do? Why do you go to that thing on Sunday? Why, like, why did you change your diet? Like, why is that? Why do you like your new job? Like, why do you like the Royals? I mean, I guess you don't ask that around here anymore, right? Because they won. We're in Kansas City. What else are we going to do? We love the Royals. Everybody seems to like the Royals around here, right? I mean, do you know it's opening day? Are you aware of this? Why do you sell insurance? Why do you have dogs? Like, it's in those conversations that people get to know each other. And that's when people find out, like, what matters to you, what's real, how you live. Most of the time, like they don't want your worldview, and they want to know what makes you tick, what you like, but even that, they only want it in about 100 words or less. We have this phrase where I come from, we call it an elevator speech. Do you know what an elevator speech is? That's when, like, somebody says to you, like, so, tell me about your company. So, you know, you're humanist chaplain at USC. What's that all about? And you know what? I've got about 100 words. I've got about 15 seconds. And they call it an elevator speech because like the idea is like if you get in the elevator, you better be done the speech by what? By the time the doors open, yeah. And that's something you can help each other with. You can help each other get your language right. That's why it's good when people get up here and they talk about their stuff. John Deline comes, he talks about his stuff. Or the brewery lady comes and she talks about her stuff. Because we learn to talk about what matters to us. We learn to talk about this. And you gotta learn to talk about it because you gotta learn to get it down to like an elevator speech. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, by the way, I'm not knocking anybody, but that's why I never call myself an atheist. You say, oh, you don't believe in God. Hey, I never call myself an atheist. No, but because it may be true, but like it's really distracting to people. Like if I tell people I'm an atheist, they go like, oh, you hate Jesus? You know, and I gotta spend 20 minutes explaining I'm not Richard Dawkins, I'm not anti-theist, I'm not angry, you know, like, so I don't call myself an atheist, not because it's wrong, because like, I don't call myself agnostic either, because it makes people think I'm confused. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't know what you believe? No, I know what I believe. I just can't prove it because you can't prove it. Like, it's too distracting. I call myself a secular humanist because, like, if secular says I don't believe in God, the humanist means like there's more to me than that. There's these values I really care about. Yeah, I mean, like, you want my elevator speech? I'm going to give it to you because I give it all the time. I'm on college campus. I don't have much time. Kids come, kids say, "What are you about?" I said, "Look. Basically, what I'm talking about here is like, I became convinced a few years ago that this life was the only one I have. This is kind of all there is. And so the first obvious question that came to me was like, how do I make the most of it? How do I make the most of this life? So I did a lot of research and I figured out like the people that make the most money, they don't seem to end up the happiest. The people that have the most rampant sex, they don't seem to end up the happiest. Drugs are great, but like the people that like use them like on a continual basis, they don't seem to end up the happiest. I figured out that the people that seem to end up the happiest, that feel the best about the way they live their life, are those that have invested themselves in loving relationships, who have people they really love, and who have done work that on some level, in some way, whether it's music or plumbing or beer, they believe makes the world a better place. They believe can get, or at least earns them enough money that they can make the world a better place some other way. And the people that are happy have always cultivated a sense of joy, a sense of gratitude, a sense of kind of wonder at just the privilege of being alive. And so like humanism is just a bunch of my friends and I getting together and trying to figure out how to have better relationships and how to do stuff in the world that matters and how to cultivate a sense of wonder and joy and to study and look at things so that we can go like, wow, it's amazing to be alive. That's pretty good, huh? Like I got that done, right? That didn't take a long time. And now you know what makes me tick. You know why I do what I do. And you say, like, you gotta, and by the way, you can steal that if you want. But my guess is that you'll come up with your own. But that's what you do at a thing like this, you gotta come up with your elevator speech. But I gotta tell you, you're gonna need more than a speech. The truth of the matter is you're gonna need more than a speech, especially with believers. Because I gotta tell you, I hang around with a lot of Christians, and I give them that talk, and it does not cut the mustard. It doesn't, they still don't know. You know what, you want to know what you need if you're going to communicate with believers? You need a community like this one. That's what you need. You need a community like this one. Have you ever heard that thing like a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? I got to tell you something. This communicates more about what most of you people are about than 1,000 things you could say. And it's good to tell, but you got to show and tell. And so on some level, if you want to communicate to your family and your friends, you got to have something like this. So they say, what is this thing you're into now? What is this secular humanism? What are you talking about? You say, oh, this is like me and my friends. We get together on Sundays. And we have these people come. And they tell us stuff that inspire us to want to be better people, or to think that life is cooler than we thought it was. And then we do stuff like we serve in the world, and it's kind of about helping the world, but it's also kind of about making better friends with each other. And like sometimes somebody comes to our group and they're all lonely and they don't know anybody, and then we try to be really friendly to them and bring them to the party and stuff like that, and then they think it's really cool, and they're happier, and it makes me feel happier to see them happier, and to get what I'm talking about. And then my Christian friends say, oh, yeah, we do something like that. I know what that's about. See, if you want to really communicate your values, you can't just tell people your values. You have to show them your values. And it is very difficult to show people your values as an individual. For that, you need a community. We were talking about this, we were like, yeah, there's a lot, I'm a little suspicious of these group things. I'm a little suspicious of any organized anything. Can I get a witness? Anybody else? Anybody else suspicious? Yeah, I'm suspicious just listening to you talk about it. But I gotta tell you, I hate to break it to you human beings, you are a tribal species. And there are a lot of things that we can only do as a group, and one of those things is to communicate our shared values. Yeah, you need it for them. I mean, if you want to communicate hope to other people, you're going to need a community like this that you can bring them into. But I got to tell you something, you don't just need it for them. I need it for me. Right? I need this for me. Because the truth of the matter is, like, it's easy to have values. It's very difficult to live up to them. Most of you have a value to be in good physical condition. If I said to you, do you think being in good physical condition is an important thing? You'd go, yes, I believe in health. I think I should eat right and exercise. I'm looking at you, right? Like, what are you talking about? But you know that, like, you go like, well, if I'm really going to do that, what do I have to do? And you go, oh, then you got to join the gym. Or you got to get a workout buddy. Or you got to get a walking partner. But very few of us have the ability to discipline ourselves to be healthy. But what's funny is that you join a gym and then all of a sudden you go like, I don't feel like working out today. And you go like, yeah, but Peggy's going to be there. I'll see her. I'll go. And then you go, and then you both do it. I don't know if any of you have ever been through any kind of alcohol recovery. But I mean, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like the magic of AA. AA doesn't work for a lot of people. But I tell you what, the only thing that I've ever seen work for anybody when it comes to overcoming an addiction is surrounding them with people that care about them, and they're trying to do it together, right? Like, that's the magic, if there's any magic to that at all. See, a community like this one helps you live out your values, and it reminds you of your values when you've forgotten them. And it amplifies your values because you hear it reflected in 15 or 20 or 200 other voices. You know what this is? You want to know what this really is? This is an expression of human weakness. This is all of us saying, like, we all wanted to be good people and we couldn't manage it on our own. So we're getting together to help each other. And you say, like, I don't want to express human weakness. Well, I do, because that's who I really am. I'm really a person who has values and struggles to live them out. And I love being part of a group of people that are helping me. It's a place where you can share your struggles honestly. And you can give each other tools. And we can admit that being a good person is hard, but it beats the hell out of the alternative, right? Like, don't you want to be a good person? Everybody wants to be a good person, but so few people are working at it. And this is a place where you go like, you know what? I want to be a good person badly enough that I'll get up on a Sunday morning and go hang around with a bunch of other good people. And by the end of the day, I'll go like, yeah, you know, I'm glad I came because, like, I like trying to be a good person. It's funny, my work at USC with college students, I'm teaching them to be people that run these kinds of things. We get a bunch of people together and we're trying to do this community thing, but I know they're only going to be there for 2 or 3 years, but the reason I work on a college campus is because after they graduate, they'll go to the Four Winds, right? And they'll get somewhere, they'll get to Dubuque, Iowa, and they'll go like, damn it, I'm in Dubuque, Iowa. Right? You're from Dubuque, aren't you? Like, oh my God. Yeah, right. They'll say, I'm sorry. No, I mean, I'm sorry for you. Yeah. But they'll get there, and they'll say, I miss getting together with a bunch of, I gotta organize something. And they'll call Helen and say, could you help me? They'll call the Oasis and say, could you guys help me? Because that's what happens is people realize once they get a taste of doing goodness together, they don't want to do it alone anymore. And so that's, I'm working at college, and the reason I work teaching, because humanity needs pockets of people that are doing goodness together. And that's a place to make it happen. It's like a family, really. You try to, some people feel like this, like, yeah, and for some of us, it's really important that this feel like a family because our own families have rejected us. And so you come into a place like this, and you're like, and I say it's a family, what I mean by that is like, it's a place where you get together on a regular basis, whether you feel like it or not. And you say like, oh no, I don't have to come. No, you don't, but she did because she's running the board back there. You have to show up. You said you'd be here, right? You said you'd be here. And you go like, that's a bad thing to feel under obligation. No, it isn't. It's not a bad thing to feel under obligation to people that you really care about. It's not a bad thing. Have a shared sense of purpose with people that you really care about. Listen, I know, I'm out of time, right? Is that what you're telling me? Am I out of time? I have time. I am almost out of time. We're not going to do Q&A though, right? Okay, so it's cool. Because I got one story to tell you. I'm just going to tell you one story and then I'm done. No, because I know it's like, because you're all clearly people that have been, or not all of you, but some of you are people that have clearly been burned by church. Because the more comfortable I get up here, the more you're like, oh my God. Helen invited me to be here for a very simple reason. She knows that I am passionate about communities like this one, that I believe in this stuff. And the reason I believe in it is because I've lived it. I've been part of communities like this, and I've seen them do what they do. The first non-religious community I was ever part of was in Cincinnati, Ohio. I lived in Cincinnati as part of a little intentional community in the middle of a very, very poor neighborhood called Walnut Hills. And we had a community that met together on Monday nights. It was just a bunch of neighbors, ragtag neighbors in our neighborhood. And we would eat dinner together every Monday night. And my wife and I had kind of pulled it together. It was a very cool thing. By the end, there was about 50 people that came there. And it was kind of an invitation-only dinner. But it was a tough group of people. It wasn't one of these things where you go like, oh, that's wonderful. You're working with all those former drug addicts and former drug dealers and former prostitutes. I was like, no, all our people were still working. It was a tough crowd of people. It was a bunch of people that had been really hurt by the world. But every Monday night we'd get together and eat dinner together. It was kind of a cool thing. And one of the guys in that group, one of the guys that came into the group was a guy I met on the corner. And he was just like one of the neighborhood wino guys. His name was Danny. And Danny was a tough guy in our neighborhood. He was about 50 years old. And as I got to know him, this whole thing, it turned out he'd been in and out of prison, he'd been in and out of homeless, he'd been shot 3 times, he'd been stabbed 3 times. He'd never had a relationship with a woman that didn't end in violence. He'd had a really hard life. And if you went back to the way he was raised and abandoned at 14 and left on the streets, there was a reason he was so broken. He was a broken dude. And what's funny was he was a hard guy to have sit next to you at dinner. You know what I mean, don't you? Yeah, no, you are that guy. But you know what I mean? There's somebody oh, I hope I don't have to sit next to him at Thanksgiving, or I hope, you know what I mean? And he was that guy. But it was cool because there were 30 of us there, so we just took turns sitting next to Danny. And over time, he kind of learned how to be in a group of people. And sometimes it takes a while for somebody to learn how to be around other people. And it took him a while, but he got into it. And the people in my group, he was a sweet guy underneath, and so people got to liking him. And the thing that was bad was, in the wintertime, Danny would get homeless often. And when he would get homeless, we would all worry about him. And so one time I went to him and said, look, a bunch of us have jobs. I know this apartment building, we can get you an apartment really cheap. I said, we'll just chip in, we'll get you in there. And you can make, it costs $25, it's a HUD apartment, it costs $25 a month. You'll make $25 a month just doing pickup work around the neighborhood. And if you can't, I'll cover you. I just want you off the street, man. It's not for you, it's for me. And if you've ever had somebody in your life who was in trouble, some of you know that it's more painful to love somebody in trouble than it is to be in trouble. And I was just I'm not even asking you to do it for me, bro. But he wouldn't do it. He was afraid of he was like, man, that's too much responsibility, man. I've screwed up too many times, I can't do that. I can't do it. He was his self-esteem was so low, he didn't think he could pull off living in a $25 HUD apartment. He was worried about failing again. He was like, I am not going to fail in front of you. So it went on like that. One day we were at dinner, and after dinner I used to give these little inspirational talks. They would last 10 minutes. People didn't have any patience. And so I'd give these, you're we don't either. And this talk, all I was going to do is I was going to give the Blondin talk. Now, I don't know, are any of you familiar with Charles Blondin? You know this story? Some of you in church? No. Oh, gosh. All right, well, I'll just tell it to you quick so you know what I said at the group. See, the story, it's a true story. It's a story about Charles Blondin, who was the first tightrope walker to walk across the Niagara Falls. Right? It was back at the turn of the last century, okay? And so what happens is, it turned out many people tried and failed. And when you fail to tightrope walk across the Niagara Falls, you don't live to tell the tale, right? So these people were dying left and right, so they banned it, made it illegal to walk across the Niagara Falls to try. So Blondin, what he did was, he and his team, they strung the tightrope in the middle of the night. And by the time the sun rose, he was already out on the tightrope. So, then what are they going to do? Like, go like, get off the rope, that's illegal! Like, we don't want you to die! Like, there's nothing to do. So he's tightrope walking, and the word went out. All across that upstate New York and Canada. Blondin's on the tightrope. And so the crowds gathered. Hundreds and hundreds of people gathered to watch. And it took him more than an hour. Blondin inched his way across the tightrope. And as he inched his way to the other side, this crowd gathered, and they're like hushed. And then Blondin took the last step. He steps onto the Canadian side, and the crowd just goes crazy. They're just like, cheer. And they all start cheering like, Blondin, Blondin, chanting his name, Blondin, Blondin, which I think would be really cool. I mean, I wish people would chant my name. I can't hear you, didn't even clap. Well, like, wouldn't that be cool, Myrna? Wouldn't you love it if people chanted your name sometime? Hey, could we just for a moment, just for a throw, would you mind chanting Myrna's name? Like, we'll start soft, okay? You like it? Louder. Big time loud. Cool, isn't it? Very cool. Okay. So Blondin, to chant, and so Blondin raises his hands and he quiets the crowd. And he says, I am Blondin. Which is kind of obvious, they just were chanting your name. But he says, I'm Blondin, do you believe in me? And the crowd, in a frenzy, says, we believe! He silences them again. He says, do you believe I can walk back across the tightrope? They say, we believe! He said, do you believe I can walk back across the tightrope with a man suspended on my shoulders? They said, we believe! He says, which one of you will be that man? And the crowd went silent. And out of the crowd of hundreds and hundreds of people, one man stepped forward, climbed on Blondin's back, and for the next 3 hours, he inched his way back. It turned out it was Blondin's business manager. I'm not kidding. He saw the whole thing going down the tubes. He's like, I'll go. And you see the point of the story, right? The point of the story is that nobody knows by what you believe, by what you say. The way you know what somebody believes and what somebody cares about is what? By what they do. It's an obvious point. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody cares about your elevator speech unless you've got a community to back it up, unless you've got a lifestyle to back it up. So I'm doing the Blondin talk in Cincinnati. I'm at a dinner. And when I got to the murder part of it, Danny was sitting right there. See, Danny's right there. And so I said, Danny, would you like us to chant your name? And he said, yeah, that would be neat. And so I got the crowd going. And there was only 50 of us, but I want to tell you something. They loved Danny. They knew Danny. And so they chanted louder than you could believe. I mean, at first it was soft, but then they were chanting, and they were shouting, Danny! Danny! And he was so digging it. He was smiling. At one point he stood up, and he just closed his eyes, and he threw his arms back, and he just took it all in. And everybody was like, Danny! Danny! And when it was over, he came up to me. He said, man, that was something. I never felt that in my whole life. I never had a whole room full of people behind me in my whole life. I said, yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Have a good night. Next morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, I get a knock at my door. Cold winter morning, I get a knock at my door. It's Danny knocking out there. He says, hey, Bart, I'm ready to go get that apartment now. You see what happened, don't you? You see, once he realized that everybody was really behind him, I couldn't do it. No individual could get that guy to think that he was worth something. But you put a whole room full of people around him, and he believed him, and it meant something to him. See, there are some kinds of personal transformations that an individual can't affect unless they have a group. That's what a community can do. It's funny, I tell that story to my Christian family, my Christian friends. And then they get what my secular humanism is all about. Then they get it. And you know what I tell my students? I tell them there's a lot of lonely people out there. There's a lot of broken people out there. There's a lot of post-Christian lonely people out there. And they need hope. They They need a new life. They need a new community. And if you're going to offer those people that kind of hope, if you're going to give them hope, you can't just go out there and be a bunch of asshole atheist fundamentalists. Talking to their reason. You see, you can talk to people's reason all day long, but at some point you got to figure out how to talk to people's hearts, how to speak to their needs, and to do that, you're going to need a community. Yeah, my friends. You want to share this goodness with the world? Good for you. You're going to need an elevator speech. And you're going to need a community like this one. And that's why I'm so proud to be with you. And my wife is too. That's why I'm so proud to be with you today. And on your second anniversary, that's why I want to say to you, like, you're not just doing something nice for yourselves. You're building something that can transform people's lives with no magic, with no supernaturalism, just with the love that you build between you for one another. In the name of humanity, in the name of reason, for the sake of love. Goodness for its own sake. Goodness for goodness sake. Jeez, I love you people. Thanks so much for having me.